The championship lifestyle. Wonder what it takes to become a national champ? What about building your own brand? Serving up at the breakfast buffet, we have Anthony Ashnault, a national champ and a 4-time undefeated New Jersey State champ, currently building his own brand. Come mob with us in this episode of the breakfast buffet. I hope you guys will enjoy.
Shnaulty be mobbing.
Do it! Great Jazz major decision, 14-4.
And introducing the South Plainfield starting lineup tonight. At 106, we have Ryan Walsh. At 113, we have Dan Hedden. 120, Ray Jazzcoff. 126, Corey Sasenko. 132, Scott Delvecchio. And at 138 pounds, Anthony Ashnault. 145, Troy Heilman. So for all you South Plainfield people, you would understand that joke. Murderers Row, #1 team in the state of New Jersey. My high school teammate, one of my best friends. We have the champ. We have Anthony Ashnault. What's up? What's up, my bro? How you doing?
Hell of an intro, bro. That was awesome. I mean, brings me back to Mr. Cochran days, hearing that announcement. But dude, I talk about it all the time. Running out at South Plainfield, being able to have that our run out song and the Eye of the Tiger with the cheerleaders and the light coming down, man. We were so fortunate to be able to compete in an environment like that at such a young age. It's crazy.
Yeah, it was wild. It was crazy. We used to pack those stands up, man. Everyone used to brag about the pit. Everyone used to brag about Bergen Catholic, but it wasn't nothing like going to a South Plainfield wrestling match. And
yeah,
I mentioned this before in my previous talks with other people. You know, as a kid in South Plainfield, we went to those matches. We saw the high school team wrestle when we were in middle school, when we were in elementary school. And some of the top athletes, you know, boxers or just people in general, professional athletes, their role models were people in their community because you could see themselves in those shoes. So, yeah, it's part of the culture in South Plainfield.
For sure, man. I love it too, man. I think about that all the time. Like they say, like, what probably made you so motivated, so successful, like, because when I was 5 years old, I was going to the matches, banging on the bleachers, watching the top 10, top 15 team in the state kick butt. And it was super, like, at that time for me, man, I would go to the baseball high school games, wrestling matches, like the football games. I thought they were the professionals in my eyes.
Yeah, for sure. It's the town culture, that South Plainfield culture, and I feel a lot of that is missed nowadays. You know, because people choose to go to private high schools and everything, and that's what I stress about my middle school kids that I coach at Berkeley Heights. I'm like, be proud of your community, be proud of where you're from. You know.
Yeah, man. How did you guys finish up? It stinks that some of them didn't get to compete in states, but how did they finish up as a team in the grade school league and stuff?
No, they did good. We were undefeated, so that was good. We were undefeated. I was really proud of them. We had like 7 or 8 qualify for the kids states, and a lot of them were first or second year wrestlers. So which was great. You know, it was unfortunate the season ended, but I told them, hey, you guys are only in middle school, so you guys have plenty of time.
Right. And this doesn't mean anything, little kid states. Although, like,
Yeah.
It's validation that your work's been working, like all the work you've been putting in has been working, and I'm sure a lot of those kids have jumped levels because I know some of them just started dedicating themselves to the sport. So, I mean, it would have been nice for them to see their validation in the sport and the work ethic, but, you know, little kid states really means nothing. So, still it's just preparation for the big show when you get to high school and even beyond when you get to life.
Yeah, for sure. And I made sure I stressed that. You know, they're only in middle school, and it puts everything in perspective. It's like you don't know when that last time is you're going to step on that mat. So next time you're on it, be grateful for that opportunity. And yeah, I told them, bro, some of them I'll get back. Some of them are going to high school, and I have a lot of confidence that they're ready for high school wrestling. Because my goal was, as a middle school head coach, was to get these guys ready to compete at the next level.
Right.
And noted me wrestling with you, growing up with you in the wrestling room, you always looked to compete at that next level. You know, when you're in middle school, you were competing at a high school level. When you're in high school, you're competing at a college level. College, you're competing like you're at a world level. So it's always important to train at that next level.
For sure, man. I feel it though. At least some of these kids get to at least they get to go through it as a community. Like the NCAA wrestlers got their season taken. I mean, high school got to have their state tournament, but for the most part, a lot of sports got taken. So it's not like they're the only ones. At least it's part of our culture this time right now. So they're a part of history too. So it's pretty cool to look at it like that. You're a part of history right now.
Yeah, they're part of history in a different way. So
Yeah.
how are you training right now? What are you doing right now to train and get ready?
Yeah, so you've seen my basement that where I'm living now in Spring Lake. Like I got a nice little one mini circle mat where I could do like little stance and motion techniques on my own. And I got 2 roommates that wrestled at Rutgers, so I could train with them, touching them, wrestling because I'm in quarantine with them. I got some other people I let into my circle that I've been training with, but keeping it really small. But I also got I got kettlebells, not anything huge, but 30 pounds all the way up to like 54 pounders. I got 50-pound dumbbells. I got chains. I got a bench. I got a heavy medicine ball, medium-sized medicine ball. So I got plenty. Bands. I got plenty to work with, man. A pull-up bar. Just trying to be creative in my workouts. You know, it's not as much. I don't have a barbell, and I can't do everything I want to do. But you know, all you freaking need to do is push-ups, sit-ups, pull-ups, run. Be creative with how you're pulling and pushing. I mean, like, there's plenty to do, just body weight and around the house kind of things to get you where you want to get to, where I want to get to. But I'm fortunate where I have a cool little gym set up that is helping me a lot. But
Yeah,
what about you, man?
yeah.
I see you doing
Me?
pull-ups on that hoop.
Yeah, man. I'm finding a way. I'm doing my pull-ups, doing my push-ups. I got some bands, little cable machine here and there. But everyone's in the same position, you know. And there's a lot of great resources out there. We have Zach, we have Zach Evanesh, we have Moto's Mikey, DeMarco. They put up a lot of great stuff. So there's a lot of great, people you can look at through social media. But this also, like, everyone's at the same level now. It's like you can't go to the gyms. Yeah, if people are fortunate enough, they can. But look at the people that live in areas that didn't have it, like Cuba, that didn't have the training that we have, and they had world champions in the past, right? Olympic champions, and they didn't have the equipment or technology that we have, and they found a way. So there's always a way to find it, right?
Yeah, man, I agree. I feel like I'm thriving, not like thriving, but compared to most of my competitors, I feel like I'm thriving during this time, still chipping away at getting better, man. I'm excited to go work out every day. And, even if it's just running on the street, jump roping in my driveway and hitting push-ups and pull-ups, it's like I'm still excited about doing it. And I'm picturing my opponent sitting on the couch inside during this quarantine, not doing it. So for me, it's an advantage, but it's also just what I like to do in life, man. I like to work out. It's pretty much my only hobby besides wrestling. So
Yeah.
it just molded in me, man. If I feel like I'm not working out, I kind of just feel like a bum a little bit because my full-time job is working out.
Yeah, that's what. It's funny. Someone asked me that. They're like, "So you work out all the time? You wrestle? Well, what's your hobby?" I'm like, "Hobby? I mean, I guess I work. I legit work all the time. I guess my hobby is connecting with people and letting people know. But yeah, it's the main reason why, during quarantine, you can either sit and mope around that you can't have stuff, or you can legit get stuff done, like work out, start a podcast, talk to people, have people learn from your experiences. And I think, with this whole thing, it really puts everything into perspective, and everyone's going to be so much more hungrier when everything's all clear and ready to go.
Right. So you're usually on a pretty strict regimen when I'm talking to you about your workouts and like your lift schedule. What has changed with that, man? Have you changed your resume and kind of try to keep a different schedule and still hit every body part, or what have you been doing?
Yeah. I work out basically every day, whether it's, 30 minutes or an hour and a half. My workouts always go long. But now you kind of have to change it up. You know what I mean? when you have just bands and limited materials, it's kind of like get a workout in so you know you're getting a workout. Kind of trick your mind and your body into getting it. And it's such a weird time, and you really can't think about results right now. You got to think about like when you lose in a wrestle back at a wrestling tournament, getting the next best thing. All right, you don't have weights right now. What's the next best thing? All right, I'll do 1,000 push-ups today. All right, I'll push myself. I'll get 1,000 squats. You can still get the workouts, and diet is super important, but people are limited too. Don't be afraid. Like if you have something that's not on your diet plan in your fridge, don't be afraid to have it. You are in quarantine. You're in a weird spot. Fortunately for me, I don't have to worry about weight. How about you? How was your diet and everything?
It's been good, bro. I mean, I'm fortunate enough like to be in a situation that I still get financially compensated. So I mean, food and living expenses have been fine, and I've been treating myself. I mean, that's the only other thing that I do besides work out and just hang out is cook a good dinner, cook a good dinner every night. And I mean, for the most part, I'm eating healthy. I'm just cooking like a big steak and like some nice potatoes or something to eat with it, and just taking advantage of some of the nice days since we're locked up inside, getting outside while the sun's going down, cooking on the grill outside, man. I guess if I had any hobby, that would kind of be what it is. But I enjoy kind of eating healthy, man, and making a conscious effort to, especially during this time, just to have the healthiest body I could possibly have. Why not take advantage of all the resources and all the things that I've learned within wrestling, like how to have the most productive like body, the most productive system running in your body, having a good immune system, what kind of foods to eat. And I take advantage of that knowledge that I learned throughout the years, and I try to not diet during this time, but eat clean and just fuel my body to be the best it could be.
Yeah, the old caveman diet.
Yeah,
that's the same thing with me. It's like you have all this time now. Why not meal prep? Why not plan out what you're gonna eat? That's super important. You have the time to do it. But knowing you're a big family guy. That's a part of the reason why you went to Rutgers. You're still keeping in touch with your family and friends. That's super important.
Yeah, man. We're all quarantining kind of differently at this time. Like my dad owns a pharmacy with other people in my family in South Plainfield, and that's essential for sure, an essential business, a pharmacy delivering drugs that are saving people's lives during this time. And he stays open. It's essential, but my mom has retired, so she's kind of hanging out. So we haven't seen them that much. My mom will like make it a point to see me by cooking something and wanting to drop it off to me. So she'll cook me a nice home meal and like come drop it off. We'll talk from 6 feet away from the driveway, but haven't really seen my sister since quarantine at all, honestly. Or I saw my brother once, but from a distance as well. He kind of pulled up to my house and we talked for a little, but it's been just me and my roommates, and Val's over here too. She's been here since quarantine, so we just been hanging, keeping to ourselves. Other than that, just I got like one kid, Rob Kennard. He lives in Wall, so I'll have him come over. I let him into our circle. He comes over. He trains with me, and we'll do some workouts together, which has been fun. It's so much easier to train with a guy that's equal in your strength and pushing you. You know what it's like going through something like that. It's a lot more beneficial to have someone like that with you. But
yeah, for sure.
What about you, man? You just with your mom? You and your mom?
Yeah, me and my mom holding down the fort. But it was actually my sister's birthday today. She lives up in Totowa, and we actually went up and did the old quarantine birthday. Drove past the house, gave her the old quarantine birthday, gave her a cake. We sang happy birthday, and that was it. That was basically the old beep and wave. It's We didn't touch, right? No hugs. Just here's your cake, blow it out. We have gloves on.
How old is she?
But yeah,
26, 27.
she's 27. Yeah, 27. So I joked I was like another year closer to 30.
That means another year for us too, though, bro.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Once you
turn, making the best.
Once you turn 18, you're like, I can't wait to be 21. And once you turn 21, you're like, dang, I wish I could be 18.
Yeah. And then you're 20. I'm not even 25 yet, but when I'm 20, I can rent a car. And then you want to stay you want to stay 25 and below, because once you hit 26, you need to get your own health insurance.
Yeah, then I'm done, bro. Then I'm done.
Yeah. Then I gotta find someone that gives me insurance and benefits.
Yeah, I got the Easy Pass boot.
Yeah.
I'm already getting the boot on the Bills.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's a big part in our lives right now. It's like, even coming out of college wrestling, it's, now it's time to be adults and, find ways to make a living and make everything possible.
To me, that's kind of exciting.
So what have you been doing? Yeah. Being independent is definitely exciting and rewarding, because, you could do stuff by yourself and on your own. So what have you been doing after college wrestling? You say wrestling's a full-time thing. What do you do for kind of like a career? I know the Olympics has always been a goal and a dream, and the world team, but how are you making that building that brand and making money off of the Anthony Ashnault?
Yeah, well, I got a couple different sponsors that support like my lifestyle and how to live like that, and to be able to be just a wrestler, in quotations, kind of like, it kind of takes a little army to feed me in a way, because we're not like the NFL, the MLB, even the UFC. We're not like those companies. Like, there's no professional wrestling, so to be able to get paid and
well, there is, but
yeah, no, there's not professional amateur wrestling, because it's called amateur wrestling. Yeah, sorry, talking to the wrong guy about it.
Oh, man.
I went black again. So to be able to make income during, like, even this time, and in general, just as a senior level wrestler, competing in amateur wrestling, going for like Olympic and world championship aspirations. I have sponsorships through like Rutgers University, through an alumni association, Scarlet Knights Wrestling Club, like SKWC, kind of like the little kid club that we would go to in high school and train at in the Rutgers room. They have like a board of donors, and that's like where my main source comes from. But then I also have like really cool sponsorships like Eat Clean Bro and Scrap Life, who gives me gear, where I have Mobbin shirts and like the shirt you got on now.
There we go.
Yeah, and I have things like that, and those things really supplement me and allow me to live a little bit more freely. Eat Clean Bro allows me to get very clean meals, clean protein, clean vegetables if I want to cook them on my own as well. So it's like, it just makes my life a little bit easier. I'm not making $1 million, so those things go a long way. But like, my goal right now is to be an Olympic champ and a world champ. So, like, money is cool and all, but it's not the end of the world. It's like, however I could align myself to accomplish my goals as easy and most efficiently as I can, that's the choices I'm going to make. Whether money's involved or not, like, having a sponsorship for a food company is going to help me become an Olympic champ easier. Like, having a university that backs me, where I could go train and have unlimited partners and unlimited coaching and unlimited sauna and recovery, that's going to help me and benefit me. Like, having a sponsorship for clothing, that's going to get my brand more popular and bigger for when I win. Just all those things go into it. It's not just to make money, but at the end of the day, it is what makes money and feeds me.
Yeah, and that's super important. That goes for anything, not just wrestling. Sometimes you have to make those sacrifices to get to your goals. Sometimes, there is an offer where there's a lot more money, but, if that's getting you further away from your goal, then, like you said, line yourself up with what's going to get you closer to your goal. And I think we talked about this, shortly right after college, but building that brand for you is that Mobbing brand, right? So, I mean, besides this year, right, they crown new national champs every year, right? They crown new national champs every year. And I was talking, we were kind of having this debate and talk. I'm like, do you think there's a lifespan on your brand since they make new national champs every year? How have you been dealing with that and just pushing your brand out as much as you can, getting people to know who Anthony Ashnault is and what he stands for?
Well, a big way for me to do that is just to be present in the wrestling society in New Jersey, be present in the youth the youth level, middle school level, high school level, just college level, like just be there, be present. When somebody asks me to do a clinic, I do it, and I show up, and I give myself, I give all my energy, try to be great with the kids, have them have a great time, but as well as get better in wrestling and have a good time. And I want, like, my goal going to all these clinics and seeing different kids at different parts of Jersey. My goal is for them to leave that practice or leave like that tournament wherever they saw me and just be like, dang, like I want to wrestle like Anthony Ashnault, or like I want to be a little bit more like that, and I think I could be a winner or something on that nature. Like that's definitely my goal going into those kind of things. And it goes a long way with the brand, with Mobbin brand, and kind of anything that you're a part of, as long as you're giving the energy into it, you're kind of getting the energy back. But other than that, my goal is still to win. So winning kind of promotes the best kind of energy for your brand and the best kind of income for your brand. If you're a winner, people want to be around you. So although I was just a national champ, there's plenty of national champs. I plan on winning more, so hopefully that goes a long way. I'm doing all this, putting all this energy in, and if I continue to win, it's gonna go a long, long way.
Yeah, and usually now I figure when you think of Jersey wrestling, you think of Anthony Ashnault, and that is a great brand to have. And I remember when we were in high school, you could have basically went anywhere you wanted. Me and you being such close friends, we talked about different schools. I'm like, wow, that's awesome. You're getting calls from like a Kale, you're getting calls from whoever, like almost every hour of the day. Did you have this Jersey brand in mind in high school, or you were just thinking, I'm going to win, I'm going for the best program that I could see myself at? Or what was your mindset in high school with that?
A little bit of my mindset was thinking like a reason why I picked Rutgers was to go to Rutgers and be the first national champ for them, and start that trend of people wanting to stay in New Jersey instead of wanting to go to all these Big Ten schools, the better wrestlers. They'd want to stay in New Jersey and go to Rutgers and be a national champ. And I truly believed coming out of South Plainfield, man, like we were very privileged as wrestlers growing up, in the PAL, but we were also very blue collar and very gritty and knew how to work. So being in the College Ave gym in that basement in the Rutgers wrestling room, although it wasn't the nicest, it didn't scare me that I couldn't accomplish my goals, man. Like you've had a similar childhood as me in South Plainfield, man. Like we're expecting the most out of ourselves. We're gonna go as hard as we possibly can, no matter what the circumstances are, and we're never gonna make an excuse like the facility's not nice enough, and that's the reason that we win. And so choosing Rutgers, man, I wanted to prove that. Like, although we didn't have the highest credentialed coaches, the best number one team, or the room wasn't the nicest, that you could still go win a national title there. They had everything you needed, and we could do something special there. And I feel like I did that. Although I wasn't the first one and Soriano got to do it first, I definitely did my part in doing the best I can to accomplish that.
Yeah, you built it for sure. You built that culture, and a lot of it, even now with quarantine, it brings us back to that high school room in South Plainfield where we didn't have the best room, but we were working hard, man. We didn't need no fancy equipment. We didn't need a weight room. We just got in there and grinded, wrestled, and we got strong and we competed. And like you said, a lot of high school athletes, they see the all nice facilities and they think that's what's going to make them into a national champ, but it's really not. It's all about that work ethic. And right. That's what was super impressive, with our whole culture in South Plainfield, was that blue collar mentality. You work hard, eventually you'll get what you want. Yeah. And it was rewarding to see, as a Jersey guy, you have to root for Rutgers. Even if, I went to another school, NYU, you still root for Rutgers because you're a Jersey guy. Yeah. And to see what it is now, you guys got a new facility, brand new facility and everything. Even though, personally you don't need it now, or, you don't need it to be a national champ, but how rewarding is to see that is mostly because of you. Not mostly, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. No, I was talking to someone about it. It's like I was saying, it was so rewarding for me to get it done while training in College Ave, and this is like a cherry on top, like a reward. Like, all right, now you get your Sunday. You get to have a nice room and a nice sauna and a nice hot tub, cold tub, and a nice weight room. this is like the reward to get to train at the next level, you know. So I'm honored to be able to do it in the conditions we did it in, and I'll hold that with me forever, you know, man. It taught me a lot of life lessons that I'll carry with me.
Yeah, for sure. It makes you the godfather of Rutgers wrestling.
That's Parati's title. I think that's Parati's title, bro. I can't
Oh yeah, it might be that might be Parati.
the Godfather.
Whatever, the goat. We'll call you the goat. We'll call you the goat. But anyway, yeah. So that work ethic you just had since you were a kid. I mean, you know, have you ever let pressure get to you? I mean, you were a 4-time undefeated state champ. Even before that, multiple time, you know, U states. Even though whatever we talked about, that's no big deal. But was there ever a time you let the pressure get to you or anything?
I mean, dude, you know me as a good friend of yours, so obviously you know like a little bit of me is like a paranoid person, like, you know, like I'm not as a kid I was like, not in a bad way. I was just a very immature kid as a little kid, like growing up, you know. I hit puberty late and I was a late bloomer. So it makes me a little bit paranoid about life a little bit. So, you know, like going in any situation, it's like I always have nerves, man. I always think almost the worst thoughts is at some point, whether it's initially or thoughts creep in your mind at some point. But I've done such a good job just working in college. I wasn't scared to work with a sports psychologist or I worked with Wrestling Mindsets at one point, and then our team hired a specific sports psychologist later in my career at Rutgers, and I worked closely with them to just get over those humps, man, how to deal with those thoughts and how to turn those negative thoughts into positive thoughts, or there was little things that helped me a lot. And just approaching that kind of mindset and not avoiding it, you know. A little part of me from South Plainfield, you kind of push those thoughts down because you think they're weak thoughts, you know. You think at first they make you weak, so you don't want to even approach it thinking about your mental game at all. But the more you're open about it and thinking about it and talking to the right people about it, the easier it becomes to deal with when it becomes time to wrestle in the round of 12 at nationals or whenever the big moments are in your career.
Yeah, for sure. Asking for help, you know, 'cause there are experts, you know, in sports psychology, mindset, and that was always, you know, I was always knowing that from you, knowing you as my friend and everything. You always ask people, you know, their thoughts and input, and I always thought that was great, you know, hearing it from you, like asking me certain questions about lifting or strength or even wrestling. I always felt honored. I'm like, wow, Anthony Ashnault was asking me a question about this, like, you know, that as Wrestling Mindset calls it, that white belt mentality of just always soaking things in and getting people's ideas and opinions. And that always fascinated me. You're a constant learner, and that's the reason why you're so successful in anything you do.
Thank you, man. I was actually listening to Jason Nolf talk about it today, and he said something that stuck with me so much. He said there's two kinds of people that go through the motions. There's people that go through the motions that just go through the motions, that dog it and go super easy and just try to get by. But there's this other kind of person that goes through the motion that goes super hard, but goes so hard that he's just blinded what he's doing. He's not focused. He's just kind of going hard to cover up that he's not like into what he's doing, and it's almost like attitude more than trying to get better. And I just feel like I've done a good job my whole career of going hard, but at the same time with a purpose. And I think you do the same thing really well, man. Like whether you're working out in the gym or getting better at your wrestling craft, like we're both super hard workers. We're those guys that no one really wants to drill with, but at the same time, it's something we're trying to get better at. It's not like we're just going hard to go hard and make it tough on our opponents. I want to get better at whatever the technique I'm working on in my head, you know?
Yeah, for sure. My NYU teammates hated when they wrestled me because I was going hard, man.
Yeah.
I learned it from the best, you know. I took my scraps from you and Troy and Scott, you know. That's how we wrestled. We wrestled hard.
Yeah.
But that's interesting what you said. What was that? Nolf said that where you're working so hard, where you kind of get blinded by what your real purpose is, and that was a big thing going into my junior year of college. You know, I was ranked pretty high. My sister had just passed away. I was just grinding so hard into just working hard, trying to get this job done that I forgot that it shouldn't be a job. It should just be wrestling and enjoying wrestling. Was there a time that you felt that where you kind of lost that vision and that purpose?
Like, I had 2 surgeries. I was out for about 6 months, not wrestling at all. And at a time when I was going through it, I just didn't know if, like, this was in my cards, and did a lot of soul searching. And at the end of the day, I know I loved wrestling, and it was just a chance to get out there and compete again. It wasn't about winning the title at the time. It was just being like a little kid again and enjoying the sport and falling back in love with it.
Anthony, two-part question here. First part is, you were the first four-time undefeated New Jersey champion.
Yeah, definitely. I'd say like hearing Nolf say that made me think, like, dang, there was definitely times in my career where I was so frustrated with whatever I was dealing with mentally in life or whatever positions I was in, that instead of trying to get better that day, instead of dogging it by just going easy, I was just like, screw it. I'm shutting my mind down. I'm going so hard today. I'm going to try to break my opponent. Like, I've definitely gotten slumps like that, and definitely wasn't good for my wrestling. You wrestle out of your comfort zone a little bit, a little more aggressive than normal, and it definitely affected me in the results I was getting. So I like that philosophy a lot. You got to be conscious that you're going into your craft, whether it's going to work every day or whether it's going to be an athlete every day. You're trying to just get better in some type of way, or be a better person in some type of way, whether it's a relationship or going to get better in a sport like we do.
Yeah, for sure. Sometimes you just need to shut your mind and be grateful of what you have. I remember the best advice I got, the best action my assistant coach took. It was the middle of the season, and I just lost to a kid that I supposedly shouldn't have lost to. He legit, the best thing he done, he kicked me out of the room. He said, "You can't come in the room for 2 weeks. You're not wrestling for 2 weeks. If you come in here, we're kicking you out." No. He goes, "Go enjoy, be a college kid." I think this was like December, January, like the heat of the season, the middle of the season. He goes, just be a college kid, man. Just go hang out, do your thing. Come back, you'll be 10 times better. Your mind will be refocused. And it was the best thing for me because, I got to enjoy my life and take a look and really be thankful for what I had. Take a trip home, see the family and everything. And when I came back, man, I didn't lose until, getting into nationals and everything. And I ended up teching the kid that I supposed, that I lost to before. Was there a time that you had to reset your mind like that?
I can't remember, honestly, a time where I've got into a bad slump, like losing a lot of matches. Fortunate enough, I've had a super great career wrestling wise, where a lot of it's been at the top. But my freshman year, definitely, I was undefeated all of high school, and then I go to college, and immediately I was getting my butt whooped in practice, and then I lost to kids that I'd never heard about in open tournaments as my redshirt year, and then all of a sudden I go to wrestle as a redshirt freshman my first year in college at Rutgers, and by the time national comes around, I mean I had a good record, 21-8, but I had 8 losses. So coming from a undefeated high school career, winning little kid states every year, you're just not used to that many losses piling up on you week after week in the Big Ten. And I remember not going through I was still going into practice excited and trying my best. It wasn't ever a time where I had to take time off in the middle of the season like that, but definitely a lot of mental and verbal talks with my coach. I remember a lot of talks with Coach Joe Pollard, just kind of breaking down you want to be a national champ, you're losing these guys, you got to put more, don't feel sorry for yourself. It's time to go to work, time to do some privates, get better in the areas that you're struggling in. You're not getting out of bottom. Let's put some work in the bottom. So it was just a time frame where I was feeling sorry for myself for the first time. And, there's nothing to feel sorry for yourself in this sport. The best guy wins at the end of the day, whether you worked harder than him or not. The best guy is going to win. And it's the best lesson that you could learn. You could do everything perfect and still go lose the match. It's just such a humbling sport. And I learned that freshman year, having more losses than I've ever had in my career in one season, you just learn how to deal with those kind of things and come back. And I kept coming back and coming back and coming back. And I was seated 12th or 13th at nationals, and I ended up being All-American top 8. So, that tenacity definitely showed where I came back, and I outplaced where I was projected. But it was a lesson. That whole season was a lesson that you're saying, just learned You know, like you can't just go through the motions and work really hard and just expect results. Like there's purpose behind things, and there's in my eyes, there's a higher power, you know, like you're going to do what you can do, work as hard as you can, but the results are going to be what they are.
Yeah, it's out of the results are out of your control. You know, sometimes the result happens right when you step on that mat, you know, and anything could happen. And another thing was, you know, you got hurt that what should have been your last year of college, right? You got hurt, you were out for a season, you weren't sure that if that was it, right? You didn't know if they were going to give you a medical red shirt. How did you deal with that whole situation, that whole time there? You know, in hindsight, knowing now you won the national championship after you got that medical red shirt year.
Yeah.
What was going through your mind that whole time?
To be honest, the first couple weeks, I was thinking about, I'm going to graduate college. This is my last semester of undergrad. I'm going to move on, get a full-time job, try to connect with some donors, and like in my mind, I was like potentially make $100,000, move on with my life. Like I was not ready to be done with wrestling completely. I wanted to be in the sport and be involved in some capacity, but there was a lot of thoughts of like, maybe it's just time to move on. This is it. Like, the passion wasn't what it was for some reason. It was just very dull, depressing feeling about the sport. Didn't want to watch film. Like, didn't want to be talking about the sport really for those first couple weeks. And the thing that changed is I was like just thinking about what I wanted to do in life and what I enjoyed doing and what my purpose was. And I felt like my purpose was to like impact people through my wrestling, man. I had such a potential to just touch like not only kids but touch people's lives in general just through my athletic ability. And to put that to waste, man, I just felt like I was leaving so much potential on the table. Whether I'm an Olympic champ or not, I truly believe I have the potential to be. So it's like to leave that on the table and not go after it. I'm sure you have very similar feelings in going after being into the WWE or separate organizations. You're just, to leave that all on the table and just throw it away and move on with your life is more regretting than going after it and failing. I'd much rather do that. And it came down to just doing a lot of research on what I wanted to do in my next point in my life. So I started looking up, I want to coach. Let's see what these coaches' salaries are in public universities, and kind of seeing those kind of figures sparked my interest back in. Like, okay, like there's a potential to have a career in this kind of sport for me. Like, I love this sport. Like, let's look into this a little bit. And then slowly my interest started getting back into the sport. I started feeling better at PT. I started getting better at PT when I was going each week. So then slowly I guess I built the interest back. The biggest thing probably that pushed me over the top is going to practice and watching your teammates practice and you not being able to participate in it. I was like, all right, like I love this. I'm itching, sitting on the side. I need to get the heck back in. But that was a little rant about it, but
that's all right. Yeah, you covered that was, and then when you finally got that red shirt and you got to wear it, you know, you found that love again, and it was full steam ahead, man. It was great. It was cool because we were all done with our college eligibility, and you were the sole survivor. You were the last one, and when we all went to Pittsburgh to watch you win that, man, that was an incredible moment for not just you but the whole South Plainfield community. It felt like the whole town was there, and then after when we all celebrated, you know, it was the
Go! Let's go!
National Champion from Rutgers, Anthony.
the biggest reward like I think a town could ever have.
that was so lit, man. Just like that feeling, like you said, it felt like I literally felt that, like we won. Like it wasn't. I mean, I felt like I won, of course, but there was a lot of pride behind it, and I felt it, man. Like I felt like it was an army that won that title, and I feel that, man, and I share that for sure. I want everyone to feel that a little bit. So that's what makes me feel special, and it goes back to that thing where I went to Rutgers in the first place for, kind of change the culture of the place, get it on the map a little bit, but more just change the thoughts behind the university and the wrestling team behind it, and that was validation for me. But that was awesome that weekend, just having you guys there. I mean, you're a year younger than me, and I got to sneak in 2 extra years, so you get to come to that, get to come to nationals and watch that moment, and to be a part of it for me to have all my friends a part of it was just sick, like cherry on top.
Yeah, that was awesome. Driving that trip all the way up to Pittsburgh from South Plainfield, it was great. Worth every moment of it.
Yeah, but I mean,
but
at least it's not driving to St. Louis or you were about to drive to Minnesota this year.
Yeah, well, I drove to St. Louis, but it was the ride to Pittsburgh was definitely worth it, and it was worth it to everyone that made the trip over, to South Plainfield. That moment was just so special and powerful for the whole town and even the state of New Jersey. I felt like you had the whole state on your side. But what was interesting about that whole weekend was, and this will help wrestlers with the topic of superstition, right? So when we were joking around, we were texting and everything in our group chat that we have. We still have a group chat with our friends from high school and growing up, which is great. We still are probably texting each other right now. But when we said, "What's your walkout song gonna be?" and you're like, "Oh, I already told the guy it's this. Like I've been walking out to it all year." And we're like, "No, bro, you gotta do you gotta do Shava, man. You gotta do Shava."
And then I
No,
switched it, bro.
Mobbin.
And then I didn't tell you guys.
Yeah, you didn't tell us. Me and Scott, we were waiting, we were watching. We're like, "Yo, I wonder if he's gonna come out to that song." And then once we heard that song, we're like, "Yeah,
Oh, shit! Let's go! Hey! Let's go! Yeah! Yeah!
no, there is no way he's losing this match. There is no way, no way." And then it was great when we heard that song, and superstition. Like I remember just knowing when you growing up as a kid, you always had that SpongeBob shirt in middle school and elementary school, and it was kind of like a superstitious thing. And then you said when you got to high school, that's when it all ended. And you want to touch on that?
Yeah, you don't probably remember him as much because he was a senior when I was a freshman, but Seth Yoakum was a senior.
Yeah, he used to shake guys' hands with his left hand instead of his right. It's a mental game right there, right?
He's 215. I'm 103. I'm like a little immature twerp. Like I'm not mature yet at all. I'm antagonizing the crap out of him. Not picking on him. He's obviously the older kid and one of the senior captains. I'm just like doing something where I'm running around the locker room before the match, antagonizing, being a little kid. And he was pissed. He's like, "Dude, I forget what it was." He's like, "You do it one more time, I'm ripping the SpongeBob shirt." And I did whatever it was, and he like went right to my locker and ripped the shirt, and I was like the life sucked out of me, like pale white. And I remember like him just immediately knowing like something was wrong. He's like, "What's wrong?" Like it changed the whole mood of the locker room. All the freshmen were like, "Dude, that's his shirt. Like that's his shirt." He's like, "You ripped that shit. That's his shirt. He hasn't lost in that shirt," kind of thing. Like, I'm like. In my head, I was like, okay, like, it's time to move on. No superstitions the rest of my life. Like, that moment, I was like, never going to be the guy to wear the same socks or same shirt again. Like, this is it. I wore that shirt from probably first or second grade to, like, freshman year of high school, man. So many wrestling tournaments in that shirt.
SpongeBob shirt. So, honestly, that could have been one of the best moments for you. Literally ripped the superstitions out of you.
That's honestly why I'm not like, it's not like a childhood nightmare memory, man. I'm laughing about it because it helped me so much. It's not something I think about. I don't have to have my shorts folded up in the corner a certain way, my water bottle or anything. Like the most superstitions I have is about my preparation and my training going into the competitions.
What's more of a routine than really a superstition? You know what I mean?
Making sure the routine's on point, so I have to do less thinking about how the routine's got to be set up.
Yeah. And the different color socks, that's not a superstition. That's him just being colorblind, right?
Yeah. Yeah,
yeah, just a little bit.
just a little bit.
Yeah. Just a little bit. Yeah, but yeah, man.
That national tournament, back to that thing, that was pretty sick, bro. The run out song, I'm sure like that'll be something I forever remember, like because that's like how I got the nickname Shnaulty be Mobbin and stuff too, that song. So it's like they picked a clean version, but it wasn't really clean still, so it was cool too. The moment I heard the song in my head, I got, you know how sometimes you're so nervous about going into a match. I had the feeling of like a little giggle, a little comedy, like a little sigh of relief, like brought me back to reality a little bit from the whole arena. But it also pumped me up, man. I was like, let's go. I ain't losing.
Let's get it.
Mobbin all. Yeah.
We felt that. Like I said, I looked at Scott. I was like, there's no way he's losing this. And we looked at each other. We were all pumped up. And so it's crazy how it brought everything just full circle. You know what I mean? How South Plainfield has always been with you, and including that moment. And it was such a big, powerful moment. And that's the way I try to live. You know, my life is remembering my roots, remember where I came from, and my friends and everyone. I feel like they're part of my journey too. That's why Journey Through Destiny. It's all about the people that brought you here. It's like you said, the army. It takes an army of people to feed you. It takes an army of people to motivate you. You know, you're supported by an army. And I feel like that's the same way with me and my friends and my family. You know, my gear is designed by one of my friends. Like I always do something to support my friends and family. And I feel like you're the same way. And it's part of the roots in the culture, for sure.
For sure. And, you know, like, I obviously will always hold South Plainfield, like, on my chest, and that's home. That's home for me, and it's always going to be home. But, like, I don't live there anymore, and it kind of stinks a little bit. But I just, like, even though I don't live there, I still will always feel like that's home, and I'll refer to that as home. And, like, I feel bad sometimes that I don't live there permanently right now. And, like, in the back of my mind, that's home. But it's like, you know, people move on. Not that it takes anything away from anything that we've done in South Plainfield, or anything that we feel about South Plainfield. But, you know, like, life goes on. And right now I'm just not there. But it does eat at me a little bit, like, thinking those thoughts, like, dang, I'm not living in South Plainfield. It's like who I am.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's supposed to happen. You know, just different goals, and it's part of life. You know, nothing lasts really forever, but it's in your heart. You know, that town is in our heart. It's in our blood. It's in our characteristics. So, you know, it's still there, even though we're not essentially living there or anything. It's always in our back of our mind, and even not coaching there. You know, kind of you feel it, but you know, it's not the time and place right now. But the culture's still inside us. It built us who we are now, and I'm proud of it. You know, I'm proud of the fact of who it made me as a person and who I'm going to be, for sure.
I'm super proud of it, man, for sure.
And to look back at it now, like, we really did some great stuff during our high school times. Like, you know, thinking about it now and really reflecting, like, we really did something that I don't think will ever be done again. You know, public school being #1 team in the state. 3 times we did it?
Yeah. Yo, on top of that, I was thinking, bro, like, our 2 classes, like, you think about a school like Blair, who's #1 every year. They haven't had as many All-Americans as the group that we had. You know, like, we're competing with the best of the best with the stats that we produced, which is so cool. And I feel like it's almost overlooked a little bit. What with Troy being from UNC, you being from NYU, like, not everyone in the same spot, but, like, man, we did some special stuff. There's some
even Jakey Giordano, man, getting that All-American, you know, a couple of years in a row.
He wasn't in our class, but for sure from South Plainfield is awesome. But I'm just saying, like, you see Blair have the #1, 2, 3 overall recruit in the whole country, pound for pound, and all 3 of those guys may not end up being All-Americans. And we had 4 public school guys just move on to the next level, and we had maybe 6 or 7 guys other than those 4 guys wrestle at that level, the next level. So it's just so impressive to me. It's
because we had 4. Yeah,
we were riding bikes to each other's houses as kids, man. Like, that's awesome to think about.
Yeah, and all end our careers on, you know, All-American and doing something really special. That is something, I guess, that gets overlooked. You know, not only that our high school career, we had one of the best high school teams ever, public school teams ever, but yeah, 4 All-Americans in our class, and that's pretty impressive to think about. You know, just being a public school and something in that water, huh?
Yeah, something in that South Plainfield water, like, helping the wrestlers out.
Yeah.
And I'm excited.
I'm excited to see how the culture's still there, man.
Yeah.
You never really see it anywhere else. It's from the PAL to the high school, and then the support now. It's like Rutgers is high school too.
Yeah, yeah, man. I mean, like at my home in South Plainfield, I went across the street to my neighbor's house, and he had a mat in his basement. And not that I was shocked, but I'm like, dang, like it's still in the blood here, man. With these young kids, like there's still a lot of numbers in the little kid rec program, PAL building. They're still pumping practices out like they used to. I mean, I don't think DiBiase's up in there putting them through the ringer, but they're still getting after it, and the culture's still there for sure.
I remember those days with Coach DiBiase, and I remember we were like, "Oh, when's Mr. Ashnault coming? When is he gonna practice?" Yeah, and that's what's super impressive. That's what's super impressive about your dad, man. He's still helping the PAL out and everything, man. I told him after when I saw him after nationals and everything, I was like, can you please go on vacation, do something, man, relax, get away from wrestling. And he was there at the PAL, mopping mats, Monday, mopping mats, getting ready for the kids to practice. I'm like, give it a break, let someone else take their ring. But that's what it is, man. That's what's part of the culture, Your dad, you had a great support system, and it's great to have people like that care about the sport of wrestling, and that's what we need, to grow this sport. And honestly, it is the best sport in the world, just to build your character and build your mindset and see who you are as a person. Now looking outside of college wrestling and competing, onto new things, pro wrestling, whatever, you just see it, like people who haven't wrestled, in college or whatever, amateur wrestling, you can just see, like, I feel like I have an edge on people because I know what I've been through. I know how tough I am. And it's just a wild thing to think of. Like, we're a part of one of the toughest sports out there. There's nothing that compares to it.
Yeah, and it's cool to hear some of the MMA guys that haven't wrestled, like, talk about what's the hardest sport in their sport. They're like, most of them are always like wrestling for sure. Like, wrestling's harder than jiu-jitsu and harder than this, harder than that. And I love that appreciation about the sport because I didn't know that growing up, but it gives me appreciation now looking back at all the work we put in. Like, dang, we went through something a lot harder than we probably thought it was when we were going through it.
Yeah, it was another day at the office for us. We would go to practice. Johnson would blow the whistle at 3:15, and then McCann would get there, and it was just like another day of hard work. Yeah. It was what it was. Those practices were harder than a lot of my college practices for sure, and it was just
every single one.
And what was important about that was it didn't matter if you were Anthony Ashnault or that JV kid. Everyone had to work the same amount, had to have that same intensity, right? If one guy was slack, and it didn't matter if he didn't start a single match, if he was dogging it, that's it. We all went back to the line. It didn't matter, and that's why we were all about the team.
Yeah, I love it, man. I love it. It's great. It's not great memories thinking about back to those practices, but it's great lessons that I'll carry with me, man. And I feel it when I go to these different places to train kids. It's like you could immediately feel where the weaknesses are in the room and where the strengths are, just based on how we grew up through a program, through a wrestling program. And we were very fortunate, like I said before, we were super fortunate in having that, and having parents that gave back when we were young, and having coaches that we had middle school coaches like, and then going on to high school and having guys that were like state champs coaching us. And although a lot of us thought practices were just absurdly hard and just over the top, like, they prepared us for life for sure.
Yeah, it all makes sense now. When I got to college, after being through that high school practice and everything, I felt I was fully prepared for anything. I felt everything was a cakewalk, Yeah. And dude, I bet you feel the same way.
Dude, like our hardest workout of like preseason, like you have to wake up 7 a.m. on Fridays for a stadium run. Compared to some of the things we did in high school, man, that stadium run, you could have went out with your buddies that weren't on the wrestling team and no one knew, and you could have showed up and still killed it because of what you were doing in South Plainfield high school practice. You were just used to putting your mind in a different place and going as hard as you can.
It's being tough.
Yeah, so that definitely prepared me for life, not just wrestling in college, and just prepared me for life, man. Going into different situations where I'm uncomfortable, it's just like I know what I've been through, man. I put my body through the worst, and it's funny, man. I've been in some funny places in high school practice in my mind, and I'm sure you've been there too. I just remember a lot of times I would think like it would get so hard, I'd be like, screw it, I'm gonna just go harder. The worst thing that happens, I pass out. I'm not gonna die. I'm gonna wake up. And like how messed up is that to think about? Like you're like, I'm just gonna
Yeah, that was
pass out.
crazy.
I'm just gonna
Yeah.
pass out, no big deal. And I remember times that when you were making 112 the one year, it was a struggle for you, and it was times like that for you. I feel like you were just like, dude, almost like probably felt like that going
Oh
through.
yeah, it was terrible. Bundled up like a snowman. Like I hated. Oh man, that's a time where I really emphasize with kids, don't cut weight. I mean, for me, I kind of had to. It was the way for me to get in the starting lineup. That's why I think it's absurd for kids that don't wrestle on a team like that to cut 15, 20 pounds just because they feel like they'll be better. That's absurd. That's a terrible way to get better at wrestling. You want to get better at wrestling, not at weight cutting. And I made that sacrifice, because it was the way to get on the starting team. It was the best thing for the team, and it was the best thing for me. And that was the best thing about high school that I look back on now. Like it sucked doing that, but I did it solely for the team. It was legit unselfish reasons. That's why I wrestled so good during the team season, because it was for you guys, and then individual season it was like a big burden was lifted off my shoulders, because it's like it was just me kind of. Now that I think about it, it was me kind of being unselfish. I was like, all right, I'm doing this for the team. Every weight cut, I'm doing this for the team, and I never missed weight in high school and even in college. And that's something you kind of have to do, make weight. But I just remember everything in high school was solely for the team. And I remember I told Tyler Hunt, a couple months ago, I was like, yeah, man, when I was a freshman in high school, man, I just wanted to make you guys proud. I just wanted to make you proud, Hunt.
It's awesome though, because that's the culture, man. I wanted to be like my brother and my cousins that were wrestling in high school when I was a kid, and it's like it goes full circle. You get to high school and you're like, I want to make these seniors feel like I belong and feel like proud of me to be their teammate. Like I remember Nikki Heilman was like my senior, and Ryan Sacco and those guys. They were great senior class, and Wagner, and I was so excited to be their teammate and get to see what they were like, work ethic wise. I just wanted same thing, man. I just wanted to make them happy, make them proud.
Earn our stripes, earn our tiger stripes.
Yeah, we were just young bucks earning the stripes.
Running out to Ozzy Osbourne, Center of Eternity, bro. That is definitely the best run out song ever. Has to be.
Yeah, I love it.
Sometimes I'm in my last set. I'm doing a crazy cardio bout. I'll put that song on in my headphones. Makes you turn it up another level.
Hell yeah, put you in the zone. Nothing like that in general.
Because that's what it was all about, man. And reflecting on it, we really did amazing things. So I asked everyone this. You probably answered it with this talk already, but your adversity moment. What is something that you went through, your adversity moment that is now a part of you, part of your story, a part of your journey?
The biggest part of my journey, I'd say, is like that year that we were talking about, where I had 2 injuries. I got surgery on after my junior season of college, junior wrestling season of college. I had 2 surgeries, and I mean, my identity is not just a wrestler, but it's a lot of what I do, and it's a lot of who I am. And that got taken from me, and it just brought me to a dark place of thinking if I wanted to be a wrestler anymore, if that's who I was as a person, if that's the only thing I was, if I had any other things I was good at, and what it led to be with all those thoughts. And I was making different kind of writing different kind of diaries, listening to different kind of podcasts, getting my thoughts in order about what I wanted to do next in life, my next step kind of thing. And I figured out, like, I love wrestling. This is what I always loved doing. Like when I first went to high school, like I loved the opportunity to be a state champ as a freshman, and like I hunted that goal down, and I went after it, man, with everything I had. And like that was the thoughts I was thinking about during this junior season, coming back from injuries. And I just wanted to come back my senior season, I wanted to get that medical year and be able to come back and wrestle to that Mobbin mentality kind of style. I wanted to change the gears and not put so much pressure on myself to just go win and go perform. I wanted to have fun with it again and be like a little kid and go out there and score a lot of points and not do it for Rutgers, but do it for myself, to have a good time and to do the sport that I love, that I always loved. And I got back to it, man. I made Mobbin like my mentality.
Yeah, for sure. Now, I saw that, me going back, to Rutgers, seeing you and visiting you. I remember how relaxed your mind was that last year of competing. You were just so relaxed, and I never that relaxed. It was the point where it was scaring me. But then I saw you wrestle. I'm like, yo, this is the best he's ever wrestled, and it was great to watch that. And now the last couple. No, you go.
And that was the goal, man, getting back to that spot where in high school, I felt like I was wrestling in the Zen state, man. Like, once I won that freshman state title, I was in that perfect Zen state where, I mean, it went hand in hand in how I was living my life. I was living super, super clean and doing everything I should have been doing and working as hard as I possibly can with the right intention. So it was going hand in hand, winning and living that way. And somewhere along the way in college, it got lost a little bit, and just everything wasn't where it should have been. And senior year, man, I just got back to how I knew I had to be a winner. And I got that mental game back in that Zen state. And really that the Mobbin thing helped me a lot. It helped me take my mind to a different spot, like Kobe Bryant takes Mamba, and like, you just take your mind like, this is like, yeah, I'm a nice guy and I got a great, maybe a great personality, or I could talk to people off the mat outside of the sport. But when I'm inside that circle, man, I'm a different animal. I'm a different breed. And that Mobbin thing helped me turn that switch on for sure.
Yeah. So we'll kind of close up with these last questions that I ask everyone. Who is Anthony Ashnault? What does he want to be known for?
Anthony Ashnault is currently an aspiring Olympian, aspiring Olympic champ, aspiring Olympian. I want to be known for just a guy that put his all into put his all, just not right now it's just wrestling, but I want to be known for a guy that puts his all into everything he does, whether it's within athletics, which it's been a lot of my life right now, or it's in just life when I move on and I do other things. I just want to be the guy known for putting everything he's got into it, whether it's everything he's got into the relationships, whether it's everything he's got into the work he's doing. Just really good work ethic and really good guy, humble, with just a good life. I'd like to also be known to have a family. I'd like to have a family, have little kids, little Anthony Ashnaults running around. That'd be nice.
Yeah, for sure. So where can people follow you at, see you at, DM you, slide your DMs?
Yeah, catch me at Anthony Ashnault, just like my name, ANTHONY ASHNAULT, no spaces, no emojis, no underscores. Catch me on Instagram at AAshnault2020. We're going to have to change it, but right now, AAshnault2020 right now on Instagram. That's where I do most of
the old 2021 now.
Yeah, 2020. 2020.
Yeah, it's a good one. That's a good one. So any last words, any last advice you could just give the listeners?
Nah, man, the biggest bit of advice that I been living by most of my life is just following my dreams. Not that they're dreams at this point, but at one point, man, I had a dream to be an Olympic champ, and that stemmed off to having little tiny goals to be a little kid state champ or a little high school state champ. And eventually it got to the point where now it's a goal. And I just say in general, I like to live by following my dreams, and whether it's something super big that I'm not prepared for, and it might take 20 years to get to, like this dream took. But in general, I like to be a guy living by his dreams. Yeah,
for sure. That's goal-oriented, have dreams, and do whatever you can to achieve them. Yep. Thanks, my bro. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me out, bro.
Yeah, anytime, bro.
Just two kids at the Breakfast Club.
Yeah, breakfast buffet. Not breakfast. Breakfast buffet. Just There's two bros, two friends hanging out at the breakfast buffet, chopping it up.
Just two bros
you
going
know?
back for seconds at the breakfast buffet.
Yeah. Sometimes thirds, that breakfast buffet, man.
Yeah, breakfast. I missed the bacon the first time, so I gotta just go get some.
Yeah, it's fresh. It's fresher the second time. All right, my bro. I appreciate it. Thanks so much.
No problem.
Shout out South Plainfield.
Yep.
Yo.
Shnaulty be mobbing.
Do it. Ray Jazz a call. Major decision, 14-4.